Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Give a big round of applause for Sean Astin. Darren, where's your microphone?
It's on.
It's on, Sean. Fantastic. This chair is yours, or are you going to stand? All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to have our TV camera ask a question first, and then we're going to go down the line. All right, I'm going to give you the mic. Well, no, that's
Okay.
All right, so Darren and Sean. Sean.
Hi, Sean.
Hi. You mentioned that you live on your children. What did that mean to you?
It was so emotional reading, right before I walked onto the stage to talk about genealogy and family and connections and stuff. I texted my daughter in Italy, and she loves genealogy. She's done a whole workup of our family for 6 years. And I just texted her, what does it mean to you? And she gave this answer about basically eternal life, about immortality, and about living, letting her ancestors live through her, and then how she'll live on through her kids. So very emotional. I never talked to her about that. I didn't know what her idea was.
What was the big moment for you in life when you really started to get the significance of family history? As you were saying, it really hit you at a certain point.
About a half hour ago. He asked what the biggest moment for me when I started to realize that that's what I was saying, is that I feel so embarrassed. I'm sort of shamed that with all the stories that my mother would tell when we were kids, I didn't listen. I don't know whether it was the sound of her voice or all the names she would mention, and I remember basic stories like the I don't know which character goes with which story. So, and even when my daughter discovered genealogy 6-7 years ago, whatever, and spent tons of time traveling to visit cousins and second cousins and aunts and uncles and visiting with them all over the country, and she's got friends now in Ireland that she's made online, and she says, Dad, I can trace you back to Charlemagne, but since you're going to RootsTech, could you ask the Mormons about your great great grandfather? Because I'm stuck on this one thing. So I got a booklet from them, and I look forward to going to seeing Allie. But it's really been the last month as I've known that I'm coming here, and I've been in Alabama and Atlanta and Texas. I was in Vancouver, all within the last month. I travel all over the place, and people always want to know what you're doing. And I said, I'm going to Salt Lake City to do this genealogy, a discussion about that. And everyone says, oh, RootsTech. Oh, RootsTech? You going to RootsTech? Oh, you're going to RootsTech. Hey, I saw you're going to RootsTech. And I'm like, this is great brand management. They seem to have really spread out and gotten the word out there. So because I think so many people know about it and care about it, it got my wheels going. But I was presented today by RootsTech with my genealogy, and I was able to take what I had learned from Allie and her work and the sensitivity and storytelling prowess of Tamara, who gave me the genealogy today, and really the emotion of it hit me today. I don't think it's ever hit me before. So shame on me, and I this idea that history is alive. It's alive in us. And what your great-great-great-great-grandparent did actually might have meaning for you if you spend a moment and think about it. And you realize what exists of them. Birth and death records, embarkation and disembarkation records from vessels they might have traveled on, military records, that's where we're all going to end up. We're all going to be a collection of birth and death records, and maybe 1,000 years from now, people will want to trace it all the way back to Salt Lake City, and so that idea is pretty. I didn't have the imagination. I hadn't activated my imagination with regard to my own ancestors. I had a biological parent, an adoption biological parent story. 20 years of waiting to meet my biological father. And I think the trauma of the way it was presented to me stopped my interest. And it wasn't until this next generation comes along and I don't have any emotional load on it that it's like, oh, now, you ready now? You ready to care about the thing that is unique and special to you and your children? Yes, now I am ready for that. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go.
Okay.
Do you have a question? No, not. We're gonna,
Okay.
Then we go to Scott.
All right. Hi, Sean. I'm Scott Fisher. I have a national talk show on family history. And one of my listeners asked me if I would ask you kind of what you just alluded to, because she found out 7 years ago through a DNA test that her father wasn't her father. She still struggles with that question. And she wanted me to ask you how you felt as a young man when you discovered that John Astin was not your biological father.
First of all, I thank her for her question, and thank you for letting me be on your show. Oh, it's your question.
There she is.
Oh, there you go. What's your name? Jenny. I mean, just human being to human being, don't worry about it. Life is too short. Well, I can't believe I'm 52 years old. How did that happen? Blink, and if I got to 52 this fast, how fast? And time is speeding up. I'm going to be 62 in 10 minutes, and then I'm gone. So the idea of of not needing to hold on to it is that's a gift that you can give yourself, and the mind is powerful. If you deploy your mind in service of that, it requires no one else's assistance. No parents, no adoptive parents, no step parents, no biological parents. You are fully capable of owning yourself. So that's my just human thing. My experience was, so there was this is too long a story, but there was a moment where my mom and dad were doing the Charlie Rose show, and I must have been 4 or 5 years old. I'm terrible with memory, so let's just say that. Any dates I give are probably off by 15 to 30 years. But this man came up to me while my parents were on stage, and he said, "Isn't it true that Desi Arnaz Jr. is your biological father?" To like a 4-year-old kid. I mean, I was like, huh? I don't know what he's talking about. But that went in. That went into the brain. That rattled around for years and years and years. And then when my mom was 40, on her 40th birthday, she said she got drunk. She didn't really drink, my mom. She had episodes in the late 60s, early 70s, but she was not she had other issues, bipolar issues, which factor into the storytelling. So the more forgiving I am and understanding I am of her journey, the less painful it is on me. So she said through this drunken thing, "Sean, John Astin is not your biological father." And I said, "I know, it's Sammy Davis Jr." that was her. She chuckled. She's like, Desi Arnaz. I didn't know the difference between those two human beings at that stage. And then there were a number of kind of seminal moments, 2 of which had my mom behave in a way that was not press, so I want to be careful how I say this. Wasn't right. She did something that wasn't right. She might have had reasons for why she did what she did with her own emotional life or her idea of how to protect me, but it cost a couple years that didn't necessarily need to be, and played on my sense of duty and honor to her. So, but then life had an amazing way of creating interactions, and with Desi and I becoming very close at a certain point because he interacted with my dad, John, and then we were like, we need to get a test. We get a test. not biologically related. Then I knew who to go to, Mike Tell, and you know, she and I had strain about that until she died, but not like. But I did my thing. I controlled what I could control at each step. Oh, I meet a person who says this person is interested in DNA testing. Let me follow that to its conclusion. Oh, my mom wants me not to do that. I'll stop because I honor my mom. Then it becomes clear that that was the wrong thing to do. So I go back so if something's in your control, then you can, if you're prepared to live with the consequences, you can take action. If it's outside of your control, it's outside of your control. You know, so for me, my big accomplishment was as a philosophical approach to life that my father, John, instilled in me. I didn't judge anyone. I knew that I could go in, understand their human frailty, and make friends. And so at any moment, I could call any of them. That was my triumph. And everyone sort of appreciated that in me. And my mom grudgingly had to appreciate that in me. So not everybody can have such an outcome. But I was blessed to have a man raise me as his own. You know, I was blessed. So I wish you Godspeed on your journey. If I could adopt you, I would adopt you. then I'd be a branch. I'd be a branch on your story. Anyhow, yeah, Godspeed.
Yeah. Hi, Sean.
Hi.
I'm Carly Morgan from Family Tree Notebooks. My community would like to know which of your ancestors would you like to sit down with and why?
Wow. Well, I just learned about a lot of them. I mean, Allie had taught me a lot. You know, there's we have governors in our line, you know, like political leaders, and so, but we also have a lot of garbage collector type people, a lot of worker type people. I mean, today, Tamara focused on my great-grandfather and great-grandmother and showed me a picture of the boat they came over and the manifest of the time that they traveled 5 months apart. 24-year-old man, 19-year-old woman. And she listed him as her cousin. And I was like, that was her cousin? She goes, they would have wanted a name, and she put a name down. This is what Tamara explained to me. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. All of them. Maybe, I think actually my grandfather, my mom's dad, John, I think I would want to talk to him. He was the closest to me that I didn't know. So, or one of those, you know, people back in the... At some point I'm going to go to Ireland, to Longford, County Longford. And apparently Allie is friends now with distant cousins there. So, I'll sit down with their great-great-grandparents through them.
Yeah.
At some point.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Jordan Miller. I'm with the Salt Lake Tribune. And I just wanted to ask you a little bit about how you got involved with RootsTech and how does it feel being here in Salt Lake?
Well, they you can see how professional a setup this is. They're spending a lot of money and time, energy, effort, creativity, technology. They're trying to make this a big, known, special event and support their project. And when I say there, I just mean the organizers of the event. So I've done a couple of movies in Salt Lake City. I've been here on book tours. I've I don't know. I feel like I've skied. I feel like I know Salt Lake City, and they knew me, and they sought me out, and they said your temperament and your who you are and the way you relate to the public would be. We think that people would enjoy seeing you, and I didn't question it for a second. I've known for decades of my life without really understanding that the Mormons are interested in genealogy. I didn't really understand why. I could guess at, religious reasons why or something like that. But I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to come to a talk and to get that question answered. And I did. I got that question answered. It was a very simple, direct, answer that just said that, it's important to us that we honor our forebearers. And I thought, boy, I always think of that as a Chinese cultural trait, the kind of present, and maybe it's true of people all over the world, but for some reason it sticks in my mind as a Chinese thing where honoring the ancestors is front and center. Or native peoples, indigenous peoples, feel that way. But I've always thought that Americans we're not as good at that, but it was impressive to hear why and to know now and see the impact that they're having well beyond their religious community. This is a gift. This project is a gift to the world, really, but in America, where we're so divided and politically, and we have such troubles, the idea that you could actually reach out and learn about your biological family, your extended family, your friends, and it's a proactive effort at interconnectedness. So I'm happy to come and lend my experience and time and faith.
All right, we got 10 more minutes, so I've got you and you and you. We'll get the ladies straight, and then we'll go from there.
Sean,
I'm getting good at this.
Sean, I'm Dave Lambert. I'm 53. I'm a Goonie fan. Goonies never die.
Goonies never say die.
But I want to thank you. You helped my autistic daughter learn to communicate, especially.
Oh, yeah.
She wanted to say hi. You know, my other daughter loved to read Tolkien, and she got glued to every episode.
What's your daughter's name? The first daughter?
Hannah.
Are you recording this?
I am recording.
Hannah, thank you so much for watching Oso. I loved being the voice of Oso. For those of you who don't know, Oso teaches us how to break every action or activity we do into 3 special steps. For example, speaking to the press. Step 1, show up. Step 2, hear a question. Step 3, provide an answer. So I'm so glad that Hannah did that. And your other daughter?
My other daughter is Hannah. She's a school teacher now.
Oh, Brenda, thank you for what you're doing as a school teacher.
My real question is, as an actor, now that you know your ancestors, who would you love to have portrayed on the screen that fascinates you to tell their story?
Within my own line?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's a cousin to this question here. Well, it's funny because you look at James Cameron, who does Titanic, and the most important character in the Titanic is fictional. You look at Gangs of New York, and there's all of this rich history that Martin Scorsese has embedded in that movie, but a lot of it is fictional. So, I wonder maybe if there was like pre-industrial times, maybe in the 1300s or 1400s to see what their life was like, to learn what we can know of them now, and then maybe to try and invent something that would be credible within the 4 corners of what we learn. That would be pretty fun. Yeah, thank you.
Next. Laura.
My name is Laura, and it means the world to me that you spend time answering this question. And I wonder if you could channel Samwise for a little bit and tell us what it means to have people who aren't related to you as your family. I'm not meaning stop dating, but just the people that we love, that we meet along the way.
Well, I did a movie when I was 19, right after I met Christine, called Where the Day Takes You. And it was about homeless street kids, many of whom are addicted to drugs or alcohol. And it was based on the true interviews that the filmmaker did with the kids who were living in Hollywood on the streets, under the bridges and in cardboard boxes and, in the shadows, basically. He sought them out and he interviewed them. And so we played that. And what they really did through their painful life experience, they bonded with each other. They found each other and made a family together. I think of Memphis Belle, the 10 members of the B-17 bomber crew. They go through 25 missions together. 8 early on, 8 was the average number of missions before you died. So they were, really suffered, and they became a family, a lifelong family. You could probably, the Goonies. We find family everywhere. And the trick is to do two things. One, you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself at all times from physical harm, from emotional harm, from people who would, take advantage of you or victimize you in some way. You have to do that. And I say that as a precursor because this next thing is so idealistic that if you do it in the abstract, it could not be good. But the second thing is you have to drop barriers and allow people in. Allow conversations to move you. Be interested in other people. Don't stop. The thing about my mother being bipolar and writing about it and talking about it and making movies about it and everything else, and the fact that she had this big long career, wherever I would go, on an airplane, for example, a flight attendant would lean down and say, "Hi, I loved your mother." Okay, now I've just met this flight attendant for 1 minute, and we're instantly talking about my mom's suicide attempts. We're instantly talking about, and then they feel totally comfortable sharing their experiences. So we just leapfrog 3 years of relationship building to get to a place where you feel safe and comfortable talking to someone. So it's hard not to impose on other people. It's hard not to let people, overwhelm us. That's one of the things I wonder about with the genealogy. Once you realize that you're connected to, 100,000 people in a very close way who are alive on the planet right now, well, say you're a millionaire. Well, then if you talk to those people all over, are your millions at risk because people are going to feel entitled to something? What if you don't know how to marshal your time? And the next thing you know, you've spent 3 years expending energy meeting with other people, and did you stop doing what your life was? So I feel like there's a social learning curve that all of us are perpetually on, that we would do well to keep in context and then be a little fearless too. Yeah.
That is our last question.
Okay.
Keep it quick because they all want
I don't do quick. I've never done quick. Okay. Hi. What a lovely question. Hurry up. This one over here. I gotta use it. I said in 2002, when people said, "Do you ever think Lord of the Rings will be remade?" I said, yes, within 20 years. And people think, "Oh, how can you say that? It's such a classic." They each made $1 billion. The audience wants more. The studio's job is to provide. So and now I just read, and so they did the Hobbits, and then now they've done the Rings of Power, and I just read they've gotten the rights sorted out to be able to do a theme park and do the next thing. I always saw myself, because Samwise Gamgee and the way we filmed them, there were several of us. There was a stunt double. There was BK, who was a scale double, a little person from India. There was hand doubles. There were long distance photo doubles. There was digital doubles. So I felt like I'm Samwise Gamgee, the team leader for all of these people, and I feel like that classic piece of literature will endure. And so it's inspired people to wear clothes. Yeah, it's inspired people to wear costumes and do artwork and make baskets and make music and do these things. So there is no question that it will continue to be reinterpreted, and there will be many, many more Samwises. So I feel like I did my job to represent that character as best as I could when we did it, and that means something. If people continue to watch, like so far it still holds up. If that movie lasts through time and people can enjoy that performance over time, I think it's wonderful. But I wouldn't count on it for myself. Like, the idea of immortality is a trick. It's a little trick that has to do with fear, and fear of loss and fear of dying. So knowing that, I feel like I've got a angle. Yeah. Gwen, hi Gwen, much love. Congratulations on the new arrival.
All right, you have like 2 seconds to get in here on your knees and take a picture, and then we've got to let him go. So if you want to be in this.
Okay. Wait, how do I?